Hola, buenas noches. Hoy vamos a hablar de qué hora es, or what time is it. La meta de hoy, or today's goal, is to decir la hora en español, or simply tell the time in Spanish. El vocabulario we're going to break down into two parts. For today, you need to know qué hora es, what time is it, el reloj, the clock or the watch. Es la una, it is 1 o'clock. Son las, it is any other time of the day. En punto, on the dot or exactly. And y, and this is what we use to add minutes when we're telling the hour. So, la hora tiene dos partes. La hora, the actual hour, y los minutos, or the minutes. First thing we want to do is we want to look at our clock, or our reloj. And we want to remember that when we're looking at a clock, each number represents hours, and each number represents a certain amount of minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are our horas, or our hours. Para decir, in order to say la hora, we have two options, dos opciones. If it is 1 o'clock, we always say it is 1, es la una. If it is any other time of the day, we're going to say son las. This still means it is. We're just going to use it for any number that's above 1. So let's do some practice. ¿Qué hora es? Notice it is 1 o'clock. Es la una. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 5. ¿Qué hora es? Once again, it's past 1 o'clock, so we're going to choose son las, and then we're simply going to put the hour that's represented by the small hand on our clock, son las 10. ¿Qué hora es? It's not 1 o'clock, so we're not going to use es la. Instead, we're going to use son las. We're going to see what time it is. Our hand is pointing to the 9 or nueve. So we're simply going to say son las 9. Una más. Let's try one more. That's right. Son las 6. Actually, son las 6 en punto. En punto literally means on the dot or on the point. That means exactly. So if we go back to all the times we've already done, since there are no minutes attached, for every one we can actually say that time en punto. Es la una en punto. Son las 5 en punto. Son las 10 en punto. Exactly on the dot en punto. Now, all times are not exactly on a minute. Sometimes we need to add minutes to our hour. Para decir los minutos, hay dos opciones, or there are two options. It's going to depend on how many minutes we need to add to our hora. We will either use the word y, and, to add minutes, or we're going to use the word menos, minus, to subtract minutes. Since this gets a little complicated, today we're going to just focus on adding minutes. So what we want to do is we're going to break our clock into two halves. We're going to draw an imaginary line right down the middle, between the 12 and the 6. So any time I have from 0 to 30 minutes, all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the word y, and I'm going to add how many minutes I have to my hour. So if I look at my clock, what I need to remember is each number on my clock really represents a 5-minute increment. Okay? So if I have the large hand pointing to my 1, it's really representing 5 minutos. 10 minutos, 15 minutos, 20 minutos, 25 minutos, y 30 minutos. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my clock. I'm going to first tell my hour. Okay, so we're going to look at our small hand. Son las 5. And then I'm simply going to put y and add the number of minutes to my hour. Son las 5:10 minutos. Same thing, we're going to start with our small hand. We're going to add our hour first. Son las 11. Then I'm just simply going to put y, meaning and put how many minutes I'm going to add to my clock. Son las 11:25. Once I get to 30, that's where I'm going to stop adding minutes. I can say son las 2:30, which means 2.5 hours, instead of saying son las 2:30. This is where we're stopped for today, but we'll talk about media a little bit more tomorrow, and we'll also talk about how we say cuarto if we want to say 15 minutes instead of saying 15. Okay? So, hasta mañana.